The PA15 control panel is designed for basic car wash operation. With every kit, you'll receive 50 feet of tubing, a set of photo eyes, a set of photo eye housings, one FRL, which is otherwise known as a filter regulator lubricator, some miscellaneous mounting accessories such as fittings, covers for the photo eye housings, and a ball valve. One bottle of pneumatic lubricant. And the control panel, either entrance or exit. So the first step, as soon as you receive your package, lay out all the material that is in the box and just make sure it's all there. Of course, your control panel, your miscellaneous mounting pieces, which you should have one reed switch, with the covers for the photo eye housings, the screws for the photo eye housings. You'll have 1/2 inch MPT, a 3-way ball valve, and 3 fittings. First portion of the pre-assembly is to take your 1/2 inch MPT with your 3/8 tube fitting straight. And if you notice on the ball valve there's an arrow. That indicates the direction of flow. So what we're going to do is we're going to thread on our fitting to the outlet side of the ball valve. What you can do is give this to the mechanic or whomever is doing the mechanical airline from the compressor, and they're going to terminate that mechanical airline with this assembly here and bring it to as close to the control panel as possible. Next, we're going to add the fittings to our FRL, or filter regulator lubricator. Again, it comes all pre-packaged. Remove it from the packaging. It'll come with one set of mounting feet. To install the mounting feet, you'll see the way it's cut out on the one foot, with the foot that goes to the wall facing out away from the FRL. So we're going to simply put it over the cutout and rotate it to lock it on. And we're just going to duplicate the same process on the other side. Obviously gauge facing out. Another portion of the material prep, so we're going to take our photo eyes. There will also be a set of mounting nuts with each one. So for the next portion, what we're going to do is we're going to take one of our photo eyes. We're going to remove the nuts, both 2 nuts that are included with each photo eye. We're going to take one of our photo eye housings. We're going to thread on one of the nuts, about 2/3 of the way from the end. Slip it into designated hole on the photo eye housing. Thread on the exterior nut and tighten that down. And then, to carry on with the installation of the photo eye on the housing, we're going to pull one end of the lead. There's another little hole in the back end of the housing, and we're going to simply put that through and thread it all the way down. Thread the length of the photo eye housing, or the photo eye lead through. After we're done that, we'll leave about a foot of extra cable and just wrap it up and stick it in the photo eye housing. These are ready to be mounted. For the remaining portion of the preparation, we're going to take our FRL and our remaining 2 fittings, one elbow and one straight. You're going to take your elbow fitting, thread it onto the right hand side of the FRL. We're going to take our straight fitting and we're going to thread it on to the left hand side of the FRL. For cylinder mounting, we're going to cut a 4-inch block of wood. We're going to place it beside the track. Take your assembled cylinder. You're going to rest the bottom of the cylinder on top of that 4-inch block of wood. You're going to position those, center of those slots, approximately center of the flat portion of the track. Now, depending on the length and the weight of the cylinder, obviously you might need a helper for this to hold the cylinder up. Then what you're going to do, you're going to take a black felt marker and you're going to mark those positions off on the track. Get that done, then just simply remove the cylinder so you can finish. I recommend that you take a punch and you start dimple where the holes are going to go, just so your drill bit doesn't track. In this case, I'm going to start off with a smaller bit and work my way up to the 3/8. Portion of the mounting, you're going to need some 5/16 carriage bolts, which are not included. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start them off with their holes. And I'm going to tighten each one up just to get the carriage bolt anchored into the track, and then I'm going to remove the nut to mount the cylinder. After you've anchored the carriage bolts, remove your nuts, keep them aside. Have yourself and your helper, bring up the cylinder. And slide the mounting brackets over top of the carriage bolts. And then re-secure your nuts. Your bracket will hang down. If it's reversed, then you'll have to remove that nut and flip it around to this hole. In this case, this is set up for a right-hand mount. With the door all the way down, we're going to position our bracket over top of the bottom bracket. You need to remove any other screw, but at least leave one in there to retain the bottom bracket, because obviously that's going to be on tension. Self-tapping and threading screws, which again are not included. You have 6 holes to thread them onto here. Then all we're going to do is we're just going to fix the bracket to the bottom bracket. You're going to take your pre-assembled photo eye housing, you're going to mount it either side of the door. Obviously this one's going to mount to a wall on the one side of the cylinder, but you can loosen the nuts and extend it so it sits past the cylinder. Take your other pre-assembled one, and again, mount it on the opposite end and adjust if required. Inside the manual, there's a mounting diagram which describes the positioning of the control panel and your FRL and any other accessories as well as those instructions for the mounting. I don't have correct mounting services for this application, so we're just going to do a tabletop. After everything's mounted, run the electrical to the control panel itself. So for example, you'd be running the photo eye, you'd run both your photo eyes here, any other accessories, push buttons, separate push button station if you require it. In this case, we already have open close push buttons on the front cover, so that would just be an extra option. Also, the reed switch from the cylinder, you'd also want to run here, and your 120 volts primary. For wiring of the photo eyes, refer to your manual. The entrance control panel will have one pair of photo eyes. The exit control panel will have 2 pairs of photo eyes. 2 pairs of photo eyes. For one pair, you will have at the door. The second set is provided in advance of the door to trigger and open as an accessory. The reed switch is the only sensor or limit sensor we have on the door. There are no physical open sensors or open limit sensors. The door will open as the cylinder is long, so there's no open limit. We do require an open limit to lock out our photo eyes and other stuff from triggering the door by accident when the door is in the full closed position. The reed switch has a sensor head. Inside the cylinder with the traveler, there's a magnet. This sensor head picks up the magnet inside that sensor head. To install the reed switch, we'll take the sensor head with the writing and the screw head facing out towards us. We're going to drop it in the bottom of the channel. And slide it up. Positioning of the magnet inside the cylinder is at one of the ends of the cylinder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the reed switch at one end of the traveler. Take my small flathead screwdriver or small Allen screw, and I'm going to simply turn it, the screw, 35 degrees, approximately 35 degrees to the right, and that cam locks the reed switch into the channel. I give it a little bit of a tug to make sure it's secure in there. You don't want it sliding around.
And it connects to, the other end connects to?
Connection, refer to your owner's manual for connection of the reed switch to the correct terminals. Everything is color-coded and numbered inside the manual, so just make sure the one, if you have a reed switch that says closed reed switch, that's the one in the closed position of the door. The exit panel may require one at the open position. It is added to the cylinder the same way through the top. It's just an extra reed switch for triggering the timer to close and stuff like that. So for the entrance panel, we'll only have one at the close. The exit panel, if certain functions are required, you'll have one at the bottom and one at the top. And again, refer to the open manual. The first closed reed switch will be the one at the bottom, the open reed switch will be the one at the top. After the electrician has completed his conduit work and running the wires, or if you're going to run the low voltage wires, you can do that as well, but that would be the preparation prior to the commissioning of the operator. After all of that's completed and the mechanical trade has terminated the ball valve with a fitting off of the mechanical piping, then we can continue with the commissioning. We supply 50 feet of 3/8 tube with every control panel. Connect one end to your 3/8 ball valve. Run it neatly and accordingly to the length required. The other end is going to go to the inlet port on your FRL, which is on the left-hand side of the FRL. From there, we're going to continue with 3/8 tubing from the out portion of your FRL, or the right-hand side, to the inlet of the control panel. The inlet will always be right between two primary speed controls. Main tubing will be running from your in and out ports to the cylinder. If you get this wrong and you fire it up and you press the open button and the door closes, just simply shut the air off and then switch your lines at the control panel. Obviously, you're going to be running it neater than me, but from the control panel, they get plugged in to the inlet fitting on the cushion block. You'll have one cushion block at the open and one cushion block at the close. Prior to activation of the door, we're going to close off our primary speed controls. You may have to loosen these lock nuts right here. Make sure there's no lock on the door, or there are any things in the way, people standing on ladders or any other equipment. Confirm that you have air running from the compressor. And then you're going to gradually open the ball valve. After you've applied the air, pull up on the regulator knob. And turn clockwise to regulate your air pressure. Air pressure will be regulated minimum 90 to a maximum of 120 psi. It should be at least 10 psi below your kick-on pressure of the air compressor. In this case, we're going to go with a minimum of 90 psi. Now with air, the regulator takes a second to level off, so we're just going to stand back for a second. And we've confirmed that the gauge is no longer moving up or down. We're going to simply just press down on the knob to lock off our setting. What we're going to do is we're going to start to adjust our speeds. First, we'll confirm that we have it in the same correct open and close configuration. So if I close, press the close button. And adjust out your regulator knob until you get the speed that you want to retain, or the speed of the door. We're going to do the same thing with the open. The door is going to want to open, and I'm going to progressively just open, adjust it until I get that opening speed of the door. When you've attained the correct speeds that you need, just simply hold on to the adjuster screw, tighten down your nuts, preferably use a wrench. In this case, I'm just going to use a pair of pliers, and just turn down on the nut to lock off your speed setting. What you saw there, the slowdown speed, is actually in these cushion blocks. So these speed controls here, they regulate or adjust the main or primary speed of the door. The cushion blocks on either end of the cylinder control and regulate the slowdown speeds. The one at the top will adjust or regulate the opening slowdown speed. The one at the bottom will adjust and regulate the slowdown speed at the closed. If the cushion, what we call the cushioning speed, is too slow, there's this adjusting screw on one end of the cushion block. It takes a standard flathead, turn it in to slow the door down, turn it out to speed the door up. Push buttons on the cover of the control panel are pneumatic. So you don't necessarily need electricity to run them manually. So even in a power outage, as long as you have air, you're still able to open and close the door manually. Any automatic functions, for example, signals from the car wash, or any accessories that you might want to use with a control panel, will get terminated to the terminal strip at the top here. Everything's numbered and labeled. Refer to your owner or user's manual for any subsequent accessory wiring.